Yeah, the recording is in progress. We are learning Torah Lamed Ches 38. And the principle of it is that a person has to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at all times. And the I'll wear my shirt. Yeah, I can wear my shirt. Just I don't want my beard to all right. So, and the sign, the way that a person connects to a HaKadosh Baruch Hu is through tefillin. It's called phylacteries, right? That's the right way, right? That's the right word. Okay. Anyhow,
doesn't sound Jewish, but
well, neither does tabernacles and Ecclesiastes and Deuteronomy. It's like
not Jewish.
these are all Deuteronomy, Sefer Dvarim, tabernacles, the sukkahs. Phylacteries is tefillin. Gaves, I don't know. Anyhow, be that as it may. The tefillin are the connection between a person and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The light of the tefillin represents the light of the seichel, light of the seichel amiti, the true seichel. It is negeh with Torah Chafei that we learn on Wednesday. By the way, this year is right. Yeah, I know. I noticed. Today's shir is also dedicated to the initials my mother, Aleh Shalom. It was her yortzeit yesterday. Sonia Vatichil Ner. We went to the Besachaim and Baruch Hashem. So I actually managed to sit with my son there. We went afterwards to my father's grave, father's Aleh Shalom's grave, and it's a very small Besachaim that it's in the middle of Givatayim, Ramat Gan, around in that area. It's a very small. It used to be out of nowhere, way back when, but now it's built all around it, and it's a small little area, and they're both in different parts of the Besachaim. There is I think the older part, where there's the Rebbe's, the Stefaneshter Rebbe's is buried there. Rabbi Shapira's father is also buried there. It's a general kind of thing. The other one, the other part of the Besachaim is practically, most of it is dedicated to soldiers that were killed in the various wars from 48 and 67, and 56 and 67 and whatever it's about. So, they asked, at the time they asked Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, the great Shlomo Zalman, about Kibbutz Tzadikim. If you can't get the Kibbutz Tzadikim, what do you do? So it says you go to any place where you have, Chalei Tzahal, you have soldiers that were killed. It says you can daven there like Kibbutz Tzadikim. It says it's the They died to kill the Shashem, they died, trying to protect Eden. So it was like anyhow, so we said that we spoke a little bit about this Indian that oh man. Anyhow, the great Nakuda was when we started this whole thing, and it has to do a lot. This story has a lot to do with understanding what is the story of Tisha B'Av. If you recall, the structure of this Torah is based on Kisvei Arizal that I started in the first meeting, and I said, I know that right now it'll sound to you like I'm talking to you Chinese, but as we go along, you'll realize similarly to term and test that we took a certain teaching of Etz Chaim, of Arizal, and that the Kodesh Baruch Hu created Chol Hapanoi, created all the worlds in it, how this has to do with a person's own heart, and so forth and so on. This Torah, we spoke in the very beginning that in the end of the day, the person goes to sleep. So his mind, which is his neshama, this is the what you call the neshama the nefesh, leaves the body when a person is asleep. It goes up, and a person is left in a madrega of emuna. In the madrega of emuna, the person is asleep. There's no moichin. There's no cognition. There's only emuna. It's when the moichin go away. There's prince emuna, and we said that this very abstract sounding process that the malchus, when a person goes to sleep, gives up its moichin and deposits the moichin in the heart of Zer Anpin. In the heart of Zer Anpin. And Zer Anpin afterwards deposits its own moichin above its own head. It takes it from its head above. In the morning, the malchus goes up, the 5 fingers of the left hand, which represent the gurus, and sits next to the heart, and it retrieves the moichin from the heart of Zer Anpin, and the Zer Anpin becomes envious, as it were. Zer Anpin is the small face. This is the 6 spheres from Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. That's Zer Anpin. We're talking about the 5 personas. You have the father, the mother, the son, and the grandfather, father, mother, son, and daughter. The grandfather is the Keser, the father is the Chochma, Bina is the mother, Zer Anpin is the son, the 6 Sefirot, and the Malchus is the daughter. So that's a resident, the Malchus. So the Malchus deposits its moichin by, when the night comes, and then during the day, the Malchus goes up the left arm, 5 fingers, left arms, and settles next to the heart, and retrieves the rejuvenated moichin from the heart of Zer Anpin. Zer Anpin becomes, quote unquote, envious of the fact that the Malchus now has brand new moichin, and it pulls down its own moichin. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So it's a certain halachas like this or something like that. It does not. the nekuda is that there is negeya to Tisha B'Av, is that this is a process that takes place at night. That you go to sleep, the Malchus deposits the Moichin by the heart of their Ampin, the Ampin puts, the Moichin above its head. In the morning, you wake up at night, learn Torah. In the morning, as then the Malchus starts coming up, the Malchus goes up, you put on the tefillin, you put the tefillin on, that's why you do it, and you tie it and you put it on, on the left hand. Then you put the tefillin on the head, which is the Zerankin putting the Moichin on itself. It represents, the Tisha B'Av, the lamentation of Tisha B'Av. A lot of people have, I know what I do, problem with really feeling the tsar of Tisha B'Av. And the truth be told, that we're having great problems, not only just in connecting, some people, I am one of them, with connecting with the message of the Kinos. I read it, but in a great, I don't even understand what it says, because the language is so.
One more translation now.
Hmm?
They have a with.
Yeah, they have translations all the time. By the time you so what's supposed to read? You're supposed to read the Kinos, supposed to read translation. It's like by the time you finish with the whole process of going back and forth, everybody's going on. It's like a.
What's the point of reading something you don't understand? At least the
Oh.
translation you understand. You
can. I'm not arguing with you. All I'm saying is that this is our story in the Golas, that we are at night and we see our mother, the Shechina, roaming the streets of Yerushalayim.
Unfortunately, you don't have to go too far. We have the Holocaust, which is, I would say, tantamount to.
It physically, yes, but we're talking about the Shechina goes to the Makom Mikdash, the place of Kodesh HaKodeshim, and the derision that the Goyim have for us. That they went to the place which is where all our innocence is stored, or the love between the Shekhinah Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's this the highest sanctity that there is, and they make fun of it. So it has to do with the fact that during the darkness, during this era of darkness, that the Shekhinah places Har Moichin in the heart of their Ampin, which represents the Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's like a deposit, in a safe deposit, or just to give a little more, as Rabbeinu speaks here, as we're going, Rabbeinu takes this thing of the Farizal and applies it to the Maisa. So we started with it, whenever it is that you're going up from a disconnect to connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're going to, from bottom up. So the bottom is the Malchus, this is the Dibur, that's the speech. The speech is HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside you. When it says, Vayipach be'opov nishmas chayim, v'yeh nefesh chayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blew into Adam nefesh chayim, and it became a speaking nefesh, right? Which means that Zohar says that whoever it is that blows is blowing its own essence. The Shloch blew his essence into us, and therefore we are able to speak. The world was created because of Baruch Hu's speech. That is, this is what is given it to us, and the reason why it was given to us is because the only way that we can communicate to Kadosh Baruch Hu is by talking to Hashem. We can perceive Him with the Moichin. We can perceive Him with the Muna, with our hearts. I mean, we can do that with our mouth. It's up to your mouth and to your heart to get it done. This is how you connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the first tikkun is the dibur. And we said there's a big Yetzer Hara, which when it comes to canceling out everybody and everything. No, he's not good. Oh, she's not good. Oh, this one is at fault. And wait until I tell you what this one did. You know nothing. You haven't heard a thing. I'll tell you what, blah, 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 kind of like, this Yetzer is called Ketz Kol Basar, the end to old flesh. That's the klipa that that ultimately wants to do to kill and to annihilate everything. Ketz Kol Basar, the end of old flesh, the end of came before me and the mobile, okay, it's and what's supposed to do, and Rabbeinu says that all the bad stuff that people talk about a person are a result of him not controlling his speech. We spoke about that. When you control your speech, this you start elevating. You start to elevate the speech, you're going up. And he says, what goes up is the head of the dibur. He says, what is the head of the dibur? The dibur it's a koyim shlem, it's a full stature, the head, body, and arm, and whatever it is. The head, rosh dvarcho, emes. The head of the dover is emes. There are all kinds of diburim a person can speak. Can speak divrei chachma, can speak nonsense, and can speak, you can joke, you can do whatever it is, a lot of different things that you want.
Sing.
What?
Sing.
You can say whatever it is, but Rosh Dvorcha, the head of the dibur, is emes. That's so the emes, and now the emes goes up, starts going up. Remember, our goal is to get to film. Film is the forehead. Okay, you're going from the forehead is the kesser, right? That's it. So we're starting from below. We're starting from the malchus. You first of all, you're controlling your dibur. You're not saying things you shouldn't say. You speak in a clean way. Obviously, keeping at great, your intention not to speak Lashon Hara, not to hurt people, not to offend people. And if a person happens to offend someone, person needs to make amends, needs to apologize as much as he can. So when the dibur goes, the emes of the dibur goes up, the emes goes up through the 5 fingers, the 5 fingers of the left arm, right? And he says before, you have to go to take the dibur, to its sherish, which is the 5 fingers of the left arm. We explained a great deal why it's 5 fingers. 5 fingers corresponds to the 5 parts of the mouth, which we use in order to sculpt and chisel out the words from the raw sound that comes out of our lungs. By the way, Eicha, the word Eicha, is the most spiritual word of all the words because it uses only the throat and the back of the mouth. Eicha. It doesn't use the teeth, doesn't use the tongue, doesn't use the lips. That's the most primordial of all the words. It's Eicha. And the when the dibur comes up, the emes that goes up before the emes go up is the truth was thrown down to the earth because the Ruach Sa'ara, that kind of storm wind, confused the person. But when a person is managing to hold down the Ruach Sa'ara, then Vayakam Sa'ara Ledmama. That the storm becomes peace. When there's peace, you can start doing things, you can accomplish things, as long as there's storm blowing, whether physically or, metaphorically in a relationship, whatever it is, when there's a storm going on, nothing can be accomplished. It's only when a certain medicum of peace, of menucha, is established that you can actually proceed, you can actually accomplish something. And Rabbeinu says, now the Shosha Dibros, the Gvuros, now we're on our journey to the Tefillin, the light of the Tefillin, all the way up. So now the Rebbe is going to explain how you actually defeat the Klipos, and you take the Dibur from the Klipos of Ketz Kol Basar and start elevating it. The Tikkun Adibur, this is Sif Daled, we're holding by Sif Daled. The Tikkun Adibur hu aladei Torah shalomnim betzal odom be'anias or be'dachkus shu b'chinas laila. The Tikkun Adibur is accomplished when a person learns Torah when it's difficult. Be'anias ve'bedachkas, we're talking about poverty, and when a person is in distress, shu b'chinas laila. Now, poverty does not necessarily mean that you don't have any money. Poverty also means enaniyas alamin adas. I just don't get it. Or I'm ADD, ADHD. I can't sustain more than 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then I got to break. It's like got to go away. And all the pchinas of Laila, all the pchinas of this, the Rebbe says has the same principle in Torah Aleph. Remember, how do you get the Yetzer Tov to get over the Yetzer Hara? When you learn Torah b'koyach, Torah with force. Torah with force, in other words, you're forcing yourself to learn Torah, even though the conditions are not optimal. Pchinas Laila, why Pchinas Laila? Why you have to do a dafka with Pchinas Laila? Pchinas Laila sha'al shul tenusa the Ketz Kol Basar. That is the time of the dominion of that particular klipa, which is called Ketz Kol Basar. Moshe Kosov Ketz Sam L'Choshech. In the time of Ketz Kol Basar, that's a time of darkness. That's a time of gullus. That's a time of lack of coherence. Uksiva lachoshech kara laila. So ketz on lachoshech, I mean, lachoshech has to do with ketz. The lachoshech kara laila, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu called darkness night. So now we know ketz and darkness is one thing. Is the same thing, as synonymous, and darkness and night are synonymous. So it gives you that ketz, the end, and night are also synonymous. You created a triangle. So ketz kol basar is ruling, is dominating at night. When a person is in a niyas, in dachkas, that is the time of the dominion of ketz kol basar. And when a person learns Torah, then with this he actually is able to defeat the ketz kol basar that controls his dibur. And he elevates the dibur to its root, its sheresh, b'kedusha. Chazal said, when somebody learns Torah at night, moishchin olav chut shel chesed bayom. You know, they're drawing on him from Mishamayim, you know, a yarn of grace in the day, chesed. Chesed, you know, whose inyan is chesed is Avraham Avinu, right? The Pchinas Boker d'Avram, the midah of Avraham Avinu wakens in the morning. Moshe calls him Bezer. In Pashas Miketz, on the pasuk talked about the brothers of Yosef, that they went back from Mitzrayim to their father. The Haboker or the morning has lit. V'anashim shulchu, and the people were sent. Hema v'chamoreim, they and their donkeys. And the Zohar Darshans, what is the Haboker or? The morning lit. Now, what do you expect the morning to do? Play the violin? Obviously, the morning lit. Can light. So he says, no. The Torah has a very specific, very special. Let me just make a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam shechak Likutey Moharan. Boker or Zohar says da Boker d'Avram. This is the Boker of Avram. When the morning comes, then this is the awakening of the midah of Rachamim, of Chesed, which is the pchina of Avraham Avinu. At Boker or, the midah of Avraham Avinu is awakening. It's shining. V'anashim shulchan, and the men were sent along their ways. Who are they? What are they representing? Says the Zohar, Inu Mari the Dinan. These are all the people that contest. These are the owners of judgments. Anshe Dinim. This is the Balad Dinim, all the Balad Dinim of the Kedusha that used to reign by the night. Hema v'chamarayim, they and their animals and their donkeys. In other words, Marad Dinim speaks about Dinim the Kedusha. And then we say Hema v'chamarayim. We're talking about the brothers that are being sent. We're talking about the brothers that are being sent. And then the Chumash is being a little bit peculiar in the sense that it says them and their donkeys. Why are we interested that they went together with the donkeys? That's not, obviously they went, you know, with whatever mounts, you know, they were riding, you know, whatever steeds that. You know,
Them in their car.
in their cars, their vehicles, whatever it is. I mean, it's obvious, but the hem of a chomera. What is the Chumash comes to tell us? This says, listen, the boker or the morning is lit. It means the revelation of the chesed of Avraham. It's the end of the night. Now the chesed of Avraham comes into the world. It has a double effect. It has the first effect of taking away the Baalei Dinim, the Kedusha, because when a person doesn't do what he's supposed to do, there's Din the Kedusha Lo Aleinu. Chamoreim already refers to the Inun, Hem v'Chamoreim, Inun v'Chol Stam Asava. That's the entire side of the Tumah. Once there is already Baalei Dinim in the Kedusha, there's a whole peanut gallery cheering them on from the side of Tumah. There's awakeness. The Hema, it's on the Kedusha. The Chamoreim, this is the side of Tumah. Moshe Kosuv, and it says Shichmi ad Boiker. This is what Boaz told Ruth. Lie down until the morning, because they all the koyach of the Sitra Achra and the Klipos, which is Shchiva, which is lying down and sleeping, is only until the morning. When a person learns Torah B'Layla, when a person is learned Torah B'Layla, it says all Baalei Adinim Shel HaKedusha, Gam Baalei Adinim Shel Mitzvah Tumah. Both. When a person learns Torah B'Layla, he's mechniya the Sitra Achra, and then in the morning he's zoicha to get upon him a chut shel chesed. In other words, to an overcoming, to an increase in the midah of the chesed. And that defeats the Sitra Achra, whose root is in the midah of din, of judgment. When a person learns Torah, dafka in the time of poverty and distress, zepchinas limud balayla. This is called learning at night.
Is this why I'm not one stress the idea about learning more at night?
Yes.
Because it's difficult.
Yes. And this is also very good. This is also the Yizracha that, and when you learn Torah at night like that, you're battling against the Sitra Achra. Yizracha that in the morning there is a revelation of Midas Chesed, the Boker, and Pchinas Laila is surrendering in the Sitra Achra and the Klipos. That brings about the defeat of all the naysayers and the prosecutors that of Ketz Kol Basar that are controlling a person's dibur. What happens then? Okay, they fell off. The shackles are off. What happens then? Then the dibur is awakened with a song and praise and glorification of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A person starts thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Elokim al dominach. It means that this is the dibur that a person does not keep quiet, does not refrain from praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let kavod praise you and sing to you and not cease. And a person does not stop to sing and to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As that brings about the pasuk, which the Zohar says it, use it many times, a few times at least. I don't know how many. I don't know how it says Biron Yachad Koch Beboker. When the morning stars will sing together. When a person is zeicha to Boker, to a morning. What is Mizrach to Boker? In other words, when you woke up at night and you learn Torah, and you got the Chut Shel Chesed, you get a morning of Midas Chesed, then you're Zoicher to Rina and Shira, you know, to singing and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There, what it says, Oim Dois Hayu Ragleinu, the Pasuk says, B'Sharach Yerushalayim, in your gates, Yerushalayim. Ki the Dibor, Nikra Regel. The Dibor is called Regel. Now, why is the Dibor called Regel? You know, as we said, Lo Regel al Lashoinai, right? Miraglin. Somebody that goes and talks. Tzedek will be called l'ragloi. Tzedek is speaking, and tzedek is according to the l'ragloi. The dibur, the malchus, which is the dibur, is called tzedek, is pchinas regel. How do you elevate? How do you stand up the dibur? It was lying down, shich v'yad boker, right? And it says now you're supposed to stand up. Al dei b'sharai Yerushalayim. In your gate to Yerushalayim. What does it mean in gate to Yerushalayim? Al dei Torah. Because Shar Yerushalayim, it alludes to the Torah that is being learned in the gates of Jerusalem. As Rashi says, let's see what he says. Okay. As Rashi says, Oim desayu ragleinu. Rashi says, B'milchama b'chol makom. Wherever it is that we were standing to fight the milchama, David HaMelech is saying, B'shvil sharayich Yerushalayim shoskim b'Torah. For your gates, Yerushalayim, that you're oisek in the Torah. As Rashi says, this is just to encapsulate this this inyan. It says in Priyatz Chaim, this is where the original Kabbalistic plan blueprint is brought. It says in Priyatz Chaim, in Shar Tefillah, on the pasuk, Simeni kechosam al libecha, put me like a seal upon your arm, upon your heart. That when a person learned Torah b'layla, then in the morning, the head of the malchus goes up and sits at the arm of Zer Anpin. Zer Anpin has the right hand, the left hand, and the body, and the trunk, right? And it gets the light that was deposited in the heart of Zer Anpin. And Zer Anpin gets its own Rishimu, its own Moichin, that is deposited above its head. But at Tefillah, you get new Moichin. The Rishimu comes out in Tefillah. What this means is as follows. I know there is in Olam Atzilus, there is a part of the persona, it's a spiritual structure. It's called Zer Anpin. It is made out of 6 spheres, as we said. Chesed, Gvur, Tiferet, Zechor, Yisod. There's also another part of called Nukva. That's the Malchus, right? That is the sphere of Malchus. Now, every single persona is divided into 10 spheres, as we know. Now, in the time of Tefillah, both Zer Anpin and the Malchus get new Moichin, fresh Moichin. And after the Tefillah, this Moichin depart. And then what is left by Zer Anpin and by the Nukva and the Malchus only the memory from the Rishima that the light was there. Like when you're going to daven in the morning, you're into davening, you're davening b'koyach, and while you're davening, you're getting new mechin in your aura, whatever it is. But then you take off the mouth, the tefillin, the tassel tefillin, and you go to eat, right? But today you have business, you have to go. So the mechin, they leave, but you have an imprint left. You've been there. I mean, you were changed, you were altered, but you haven't been there. And at night, the Rishimo of the Merkin goes away. The Shim Zerampin goes up to its head. The Shim of the Nukva goes to the heart of Zerampin, as we said before. And at night, the Nukva comes down from Olam Atzilus to the Olam Abriya. By learning Torah at night, in the morning, the Nekudas HaKetz of the Nukva goes back to Olam Atzilus and sits in the left arm of their Anpin, which is right next to his heart. Then the Rishimu that there was deposited in the heart of Zerampin in the night before, goes to the Keter of the Nukva and becomes Merchen for her. And these Merchen are the tefillin of Yad. The tefillin that you put in your hand, that's the of Yad. Yeah. And afterward, the Zerampin gets the Rishimu that was above its head and it goes into his head. As we said, that deposited when a person was asleep, goes in the head, and then becomes Merchen. And this is a tefillin Shorosh. That's what Arizal explained. And afterwards, in the time of the tefillah, you get brand new Merchen. You get brand new Merchen of the Zerampin and Nukva, and their Rishimu comes in the Metzach. It comes out in the forehead in Pchinas Tefillin. That's why in the time of davening, you have a total, complete Merchen. Total mission, you're standing before Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Torah's Manis of Torah's Samechei speaks about it in great detail. That the Merchen Gmurin, of that comes through the time of and that's the time of Tefillah. There's Merchen Gmurin, there's complete Merchen Mamish in the head of the Ampin and Nukva. That is the main mitzvah of Tefillah. But the rest of the day, when there's no Tefillah, the only thing is just the left of the impression that was left behind. So that's why it's not a chiyuv to wear tefillin all day long. In the morning, you have to wear tefillin because this is where you're supposed to get your meichen. But after the rest of the day, there's only the rishima of the meichen. It's only the impression left behind from the meichen. So that's why there's no chiyuv to wear tefillin all day long. This is what they say, by learning Torah in a time of poverty and distress. This is Pchinas Limud Balayla. This is learning at night. And you elevate in the morning the Dibur to its root. Dibur is the Malchus. That's the Nukva. By learning Torah at night. And then the head of the Nukva, which is the Keser. That's the truth that you're speaking. It was in the low place. And Olam Abriya goes to Olam Atzilus. And you're a popular person.
So Atzilus is just below all and soul, right?
Yes,
That's very high.
pretty much. It doesn't get any higher than that. One of the most amazing thing has to do with that Torah Samechei that speaks about Boaz and Ruth. It says that Boaz is the moichin. Boaz is the chokhmah. And the Zohar says that initially the Yud was represented by Elimelech, big tzaddik. In the story of Ruth, it says in the whole section of Ksuvim, you have Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim, right? Chronologically, Ksuvim come way before the Nevi'im. You know, you're talking about, Ruth, which is, before the time of David HaMelech, right? It was the time of the judges, right? So Ksuvim really should be, if chronologically, it should be before Nevi'im. But it's not, because the Torah is Mipia Kadosh Baruch Hu speaking, and Nevi'im is Ruach Nevuah, and Ksuvim the Ruach HaKodesh. They were already done the Ruach HaKodesh. The first sefer of Ksuvim is Megillas Ruth. The second one is Tehillim. Historically, that's not the right order. Yeah, Ruth is before Tehillim because she was David HaMelech's grandmother, right? Grandmother. But there's a whole question about when did Eov occur? What was the time? Moshe Rabbeinu was before. I mean, that when Moshe Rabbeinu says, go to the Meraglim, go check out Eretz Yisrael. Hayesh ba'etz im ein. If there's a tree there or not. Of course that tree is in Eretz Yisrael. What do you mean? Yesh ba'etz im ein? No. He says, is there's a person there that protects with his chus the entire generation? That person was Eov. Okay? So you're talking about way before Ruth, right? So why not start with Eov? So the Gemara asked this question: why do you also with Eov? So Eov, so the Gemara says, Eov is a sad story. It's similar to Paranusa. Eov went through enough. It's like you don't start the Ksuvim, with Macbeth. With you don't start it with, with Eov. Yeah, that's not the right way to begin. As you get along, okay, then you put it in. So the Gemara says. So Tosfos says, but Ruth is also a story of Puranus. Elimelech and Nomi and Machlon and Chilion went to Moab, and Elimelech died. And Machlon and Chilion died. Yeah,
Elimelech died in Yehuda.
no.
He went to Moab?
Yeah. He took his wife and his sons, went to Moab. He was Gdol Ador, that's why he was punished, and he died in Moab. And his sons died in Moab. But to understand how big he was, the Zohar says that ultimately the whole thing became, the Zohar is all about reconstructing Shem Havaya Baruch Hu. Every situation that comes to a tikkun becomes a Shem Havaya. So it started out by being the Yud was Elimelech, the Hey was Noni, the Vav was Machlon and Chilion, and they died. And they were replaced with Boaz. So the Vav is written by Boaz, and the Hey is Rus. Shema Bayan. So Tosfos explains, he says that the reason why it starts with Rus, and Chinami, Rus starts with the tragedy. There was hunger in the land, so it starts, but Enochinami, but it ends, it ends, there's a happy ending to it, right? So the Tosfos says, but Eov also has a happy ending to it, right? Eov, afterwards, he was repaid doubly for everything. But there's a big difference between the two. This says, and the Gemara gives two reasons why Rus comes first. He says the reason Rus comes first is, first of all, you don't start with tragedies. You don't start with stories of disasters. And secondly, Rus is mentioned first because from her came David, Sheriva, that quenched Kodesh Baruch Hu's thirst for songs and praises. So that's what says, but you have also, Book of Job also finishes with Nechama, you gadol, you double the children, double the fields, double the money, everything got doubled.
He didn't die?
Well, afterwards he died, but no, he didn't die in the, he went through whatever he died through, and then he got everything back. I think it doubled that much, and they said there were no daughters prettier than the daughters of Eir, the Chola'at, and so forth and so on. Some say that the difference between the happy ending of Eir and the happy ending of Ruth is, so they say that the happy ending of Eir was a personal happy ending. But the happy ending of Ruth is a happy ending for Klal Yisrael. It's forever. But there's another Nekuda. David HaMelech here, night, represents a shleimus that has never ever been reached before or since. And that is, David HaMelech praised the HaKadosh Baruch Hu no matter what went on. B'Hashem alel davar, b'Elokim alel davar. When it's good, I praise you. When it doesn't look good, I also praise you. This was the Koach of David HaMelech.
So he had very solid Emunah with all that projects.
Total. Alel Dover, I will praise. Not just thank you. It says, okay, I believe. Yev's wife says, curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu and die. You're suffering so much. That's not David HaMelech. David HaMelech is at night, Dafka at night is the story of David HaMelech who's waking up with his kino, waking up Chatzos, learning to sing at Kodesh Baruch Hu, Dafka at night. It's interesting. They said that when Nebuchadnezzar saw the miracle that happened, with Daniel and Hanan and Mishael and Azariah, he said he started praising Kodesh Baruch Hu, and he said, and the Torah says that he was praising Kodesh Baruch Hu so much that he was about to put the praises of David HaMelech to shame. He praised the Kodesh Baruch Hu so much, it's like it was threatening to put the praise of David HaMelech to shame. So came a Malach and smacked Nebuchadnezzar on his mouth. and stopped him
It's not what-
from praising Hashem. Nebuchadnezzar was praising Hashem to such a degree, so beautifully, that he was putting David HaMelech to shame. So before that happened, came a Malach and gave him a smack on his mouth and stopped him. Comes the question, so what's the Chochmah? He wants to praise Hashem, let him praise Hashem. What's the Chochmah coming in, and stopping him?
It's not a contest.
No, the reason is no. They didn't stop him. They didn't stop him. He says, you praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu when things are going well. That's not better than David HaMelech. Let's give you a patch. Let's smack your mouth. Now let's see you sing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he stops. He wouldn't sing anymore. This is what David HaMelech used to do. B'Hashem alel davar, b'Elokim alel davar. When things are going well, when things chas v'chalila are not going well. Always. That's the koach of David HaMelech. That's the shleimus of David HaMelech. Tonight, Tu B'Av, this is one of the two biggest Yom Tovim, right? Tu B'Av. After we went through Tisha B'Av, and we were just full with hearts wondering, how come we don't feel anything? How come we don't manage to connect? And of course, that itself is a connection. We want to feel. We wanted to feel the pain. We wanted to feel. We wanted to cry. That's fine. That's what was required of us. Now it's time for love. Now it's time for Kadosh Baruch Hu to hug us and to give us kol tuv, and shefa, and bracha, and tzlacha, b'ezrat Hashem. Kodem kol, b'ezrat Hashem, b'yim beis hamikdash b'ra b'yameinu, yes, b'shech tzidkenu, b'ezrat Hashem, uman, Rosh Hashanah, b'ezrat Hashem, together with everyone, Hashem Yazol. Kol tov, and shkoyach godol. Okay.